Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
Not long ago, AI was mainly a chatbot that answered questions or generated images. Today, it can manage tasks and assist doctors, clone voices, power robots, and even help make scientific discoveries. At this year's World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai, the biggest conversation wasn't just about how far AI has come, but how society can make sure it develops safely and responsibly. After that, on today's Soapbox, you're sick, you're exhausted, and you're desperate for some sleep. Then, someone wakes you up before sunrise. Is that bad service, or exactly what should happen? Today, we'll talk about a debate that's divided patients, doctors, and just about everyone who's ever had to stay in a hospital. We're live from our studios here in Beijing. This is Roundtable. I'm Steve Hatherley. Thank you so much for being with us today. And for the show, I'm with Yushan Xingyu. First up, imagine asking your phone to plan your vacation, having a robot fill your prescription, or listening to a podcast where some of the speakers aren't human at all. None of those ideas belong to science fiction anymore. They represent the next generation of artificial intelligence showcased at this year's World Artificial Intelligence Conference happening in Shanghai. But alongside the excitement comes plenty of questions. For example, how do we build trust in a world where AI is becoming increasingly capable? And that word capable is so applicable when we're talking about AI these days. It's getting better and faster and smarter and stronger all around us every single day. Yushan and Xingyu, good afternoon to you both. We're going to talk about a bunch of things today from the conference, but I want to start with just the background of it, because this year, 2026, it's not the first time it's being held.
No, not at all. This year is kind of the ninth of such conference. It's the 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference and high-level meeting on global AI governance. So in short, we're going to call it WAKE 2026. So it kicked off on July the 17th and runs through till July the 20th in Shanghai, and is lasting for 4 days in general. So it centers on the theme AI Partnership for a Brighter Future, and it covers 3 major venues spanning a total area of over 100,000 square meters in
Huge.
Shanghai. Yeah, that's a lot of space covered, and each is with a unique positioning. So the first one is the Shanghai World Expo Exhibition Hall. Of course, that one is kind of hosting a lot of different events throughout the year, and this time it is there to present a full spectrum showcase of AI applications, and we'll be kind of expecting a lot of exhibitors and also companies from all around the world to gather there and showcase their latest products.
Yeah, then there's another big exhibition center that's involved, and a science hall is involved. They're putting on, in the science hall, they've put intelligent infrastructure and chip development front and center there, and there are a lot, so a big wide space is being used because there are so many people taking part.
Yes, more than 1,100 enterprises are displaying more than 3,000 cutting-edge exhibits, including over 300 AI products making their global debut. Also, more than 200 enterprises are focusing on intelligent computing and embodied AI. So this fair was originally launched in 2018, and China became the first to launch such a conference, and since then it has become an annual AI fair.
Why did they feel the need to put a conference like this together? I guess it's because AI was, and they could see it coming too. But AI is becoming such a regular part of life. They wanted to gather everyone, the top minds in the field, the top companies in the field.
Yeah, the first of such conference were launched back in 2018, and back then China already had the world's second largest number of AI companies, and that's according to Cyberspace Administration of China. And back then we were only behind by the US in terms of how many AI companies and how large of a scale of AI industry we've already covered. So at that time, the country's core AI industry was already mapping out and was worth around 5.6 billion US dollars. But at the same time, AI was still in the early stage of adoption here in China at 2018. So the government wanted to accelerate its national AI strategy and make sure the technology moved beyond research labs to
It certainly
our
did.
daily lives.
Yeah, it certainly did accelerate it.
Right.
That was only 8 years ago that we're talking about. When we look at Wake 2026, one of the big questions posed, I think, is, yes, we are entering into a future where AI is becoming almost a partner of sorts for human beings, where we're working alongside each other. But the question does exist, too, if we're giving machines perhaps too much control.
I think that's kind of answering itself because entering a future where AI is becoming a partner means giving it more control, more and more control.
Fair.
But the ultimate purpose for not only China, but perhaps everywhere else in the world is to invest hard in AI and relevant technology for the better benefit of our daily lives. Not only on how certain companies are making profit out of it, or how public governance or public management is being elevated because of it, but for billions of people like you and I worldwide, how we can enjoy the benefit from AI and make a real difference in our lives. I think that's where this is heading, and that's why this conference, the World Artificial Intelligence Conference, is important.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of there were a lot of things happening there that were quite exciting. One of the crowd pleasers, if you will, was a robot smart pharmacy. What was that all about?
Yeah, the smart pharmacy consists of a team of 3 robots. So they will automatically take your orders and then pick medicines and pack them in about a minute. So that's roughly like 70 seconds. And these actually are already deployed in real pharmacies in Shanghai.
Really?
So especially for those night shifts, because, human beings, they can be really exhausted due to the night shifts. But nowadays we have these robots can take over and do the jobs for you and real quick.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just an example of AI stepping out of the computer, kind of, and into our physical world where they can, I mean, if you think about what that AI robot pharmacist needs to do, it needs to perceive, it needs to execute a very important complex skill of getting the right medicine from the wherever it's kept behind them, I suppose, and then put in a package and delivered to the customer. And if they can do this successfully, and if more robots can perform more jobs independently, then humans are going to have to figure out what our role is here.
Well, I'm not sure if you guys are into Iron Man from the Marvel series, but Iron Man himself created Jarvis. Multi-functioning AI partner
with the British accent, if I remember.
Accent, and that's kind of the idea we're trying to build. We're heading toward nowadays, because nowadays we also have agent smartphones where your phone is a proactive partner. You just tell it what you want to do, and it will do it for you instead of you scrolling around different apps and trying to send out each and every command from your side. So that's where this is heading, and also what's been demonstrated in this year's conference as well.
So then that's instead of you tapping through your multiple apps to book a hotel and buy a train ticket and whatever else you need to do on your phone to prepare for your vacation, you just speak it into your phone.
Right.
Tell it what you want, and then the AI can handle the cross-app execution for you. And people said it feels like, this is what they said, it feels like there's a person living inside my phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This sounds a little bit creepy.
We all have a Jarvis now.
I mean, that's amazing. That's pretty amazing that if you can just speak to your phone and say, okay, I need a train ticket to Shanghai and I want to stay at this hotel on this day and that night or whatever, and say, okay, and it can do everything for you, That's really quite incredible. What do we take away from that? I mean, is there something important we can take away? I think we've discussed this type of technology on the show before.
Yeah, but really we're seeing how AI is no longer a passive tool that's waiting for your prompts. It's an active, like I mentioned earlier, a proactive partner. And the way it can quote unquote understand your request is the important takeaway here.
Yeah. And we discussed this in terms of the ride hailing, like AI in ride hailing. Like it can intuitively sense what you want and what you need from your trip. All right, there was something else exciting that made its first public appearance as a physical machine. What was that all about?
I think it's named Shuguang, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
In Chinese, it's 曙光.
Shuguang 8000. So that made its first public appearance as a physical machine. It is China's first fully domestically developed 100,000 card AI supercluster. So that's really, really big. And that's making a shift for large-scale homegrown computing power. So this system has already been applied across more than 20 fields and is connected to the National Supercomputing Internet. So that can provide computing services to research institutions, universities, enterprises, and individual users. And that's the first in China.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have seen one of those cabinets before. So what we're talking about, the Shuguang 8000, it's one of those large floor standing server racks, the black cabinets, huge
looks like
ones.
a tower, yeah.
Yeah, full of servers and GPUs lined up in a data center. So usually those things are very high in value, and this is the first time for me to learn that this is one of those large floor standings that China first fully domestically developed. So that's a big deal for us too. And in the future, we see it being applied in more and more fields. You said 20 already. So yeah, totally it's becoming a major domestic market shaker nowadays. And another one would be Huawei's latest Atlas 950. And that's also one of those rack server. And it's also for it to be debuted for the first time. And also a new model type of rack server. It achieves industry-leading performance in key areas, including computing capacity, memory size, and interconnection bandwidth. That's the difference it's making comparing with the other model types. So this is kind of impressing me as if the AI race is no longer just about who has the smartest model, but that who can build the most efficient, scalable, and self-reliant computing infrastructure. We're talking about those infrastructure nowadays and how domestic it's getting and how perhaps faster is calculating in the future to run more AIs for us.
So those were some of the examples of the things that made people say wow at the conference. But it's not just about the tech. It was heavily focused on AI governance as well, meaning how does the tech fit into our society and what type of rules need to be followed?
Yeah, so during this conference, it's heavily focused on AI governance. So China released the AI Cooperation Development Action Plan, and also most recently, the Mazu Global Meteorological Early Warning Initiative. So Mazu is the China-developed satellite AI box, and it can early detect the extreme weather and also storms and typhoons. Basically, it's an intelligent meteorological early warning solution that can be applied to other countries as well. So it features a simple, lightweight design so that a woman can easily carry, and also it can be set up within 15 minutes. So it's very convenient to use. And in the future, China will promote this application of the Mazu intelligent early warning solution in 30 countries.
Yeah, it's really interesting why they name it Mazu, because outside of China, people perhaps don't know that Mazu is actually a deity from Chinese folk beliefs, and it's also seen as the sea goddess by southern China's Fujian people, or in Taiwan, or by overseas Chinese who also has a history of, perhaps 500 not really that long, 50 years ago, their ancestors perhaps were sailors or just people lived by the sea. So they believe in this deity Mazu as a way of praying for protection as they go on the sea. And so we see that that's perhaps why it's
That's
being
a connection
named
to the
here.
weather, yeah.
Yeah, with the weather changing so drastically here in China. Yeah, we need a Mazu to kind of protect us and guide us.
One of the other things discussed at the conference was AI-generated voices. And voice cloning technology, AI voice generated technology has become more accessible these days. And it's really quite impressive / terrifying in terms of what it can do and what it sounds like. So here's what we did. We generated, we'll just play about a minute of it for you. We generated an AI podcast talking about the conference. If you've not heard an AI generated show before, this is what it sounds like.
Imagine walking onto a factory floor and your newest coworker just isn't human.
Yeah, that's quite a mental image.
Right. It's a humanoid robot that can actually feel the texture of the materials it's lifting.
It's wild.
So today we're taking a deep dive into the 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai. And looking at the source material, AI is officially leaping off our screens and colliding with physical reality.
See, I don't think it's that good.
You can tell it is reporting from the source that you fed it.
Can you tell if... Okay, so I told you that that's AI, right? But Xingyu, if I didn't tell you, would you have known that that's AI or not?
I would be suspicious
What-
of
what-
whether it's a human or AI, but I wouldn't be 100% sure it's AI.
What about it would make you suspicious?
It's just they sound quite natural, but there are places that their conversation seems a little bit awkward. So that makes me feel like it's fake, but the way they speak, it's almost like a human being.
It's almost too perfect, though,
Yes.
isn't it? It's almost too perfect to the point of being a little bit weird.
Guys, I've been watching hours and hours of AI-generated ultra-short drama. And I'm telling you, that voice is totally AI, and I can recognize it immediately because the tone are consistently all the same. The style is the same no matter what information it is delivering. And even the lady's voice sound like it's the same kind of respondents every time, the same kind of tone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what voice, or rather why voice matters so much to us in day-to-day communication, because voices carry personal information. That's a fact. And the signatures it carries actually help people to recognize who you are. And when those signatures are erased because of how perfect and fluent AI is becoming nowadays, you just feel it. It's unnatural. I gotta suspect it a little bit.
Yeah. If AI can copy someone's voice after analyzing only a short audio sample, which it is capable of doing, then who should own that digital version? That's another thing that's being discussed as well. Talking about the governance side of things. Is it the individual? Is it the technology company or the users who create new content with it? That's one of the things on the table as well. What you just heard was something that we put into an app and it pumped it out. So it wasn't cloning anyone else's voice. But there are cases where that is being done as well. And experts argue that the individual should have the strongest say because a voice is so closely connected with personal identity, just like, I don't know, just like your face is, or just like your name is. A voice carries very personal characteristics and memories and emotional value. This is such a hot issue in Hollywood right now, talking about actors and voice actors. So, I mean, if we think about that, if an actor's voice is copied by AI and then used in a commercial without permission, or if a scammer, maybe even more seriously, if a scammer imitates a family member's voice or something like that to trick someone into, I don't know, sending money or something terrible.
You just described something that actually happened to my grandpa a few years ago.
No, really?
My grandpa received a phone call from what he thought was his grandson because the voice sounds identical. And the way that that other person addressed my grandpa sound exactly the same of how my cousin addressed my
Really?
grandpa, like the real.
Like even voice, tone.
Yeah, the
and-
tone, he was mimicking it so well.
Wow.
And my grandpa believed him and almost gave like a few thousand of transaction for him because that person asked for money. And it didn't happen just simply because my cousin paid a visit to my grandpa. And he does that very frequently so that they confirmed that, okay, that's not me, stop it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's terrifying, isn't it? But I mean, the idea itself is kind of reflected in the growing recognition of personality rights here in the country.
Yeah, in China, we have the civil code that protects citizens' rights related to personal information, your name, your portrait, your reputation. So while it does not specifically define AI voice ownership yet, but it provides a legal foundation for protecting individuals from unauthorized use of personal characteristics. But I think in most of the cases, maybe people's voices, they are copied without they being known, so they don't know they are being copied. That's the issue.
That's the biggest problem, right? Is
Yeah.
because if you upload things onto the internet using your voice, which so many people do every single day, then it's really not that hard a job for the people who aren't supposed to be cloning it to actually clone it. So it's really kind of a terrifying thing to try to govern and try to police, because it's just the internet is so wide, social media is so wide, and there's just so many platforms and so many examples.
Yeah, and on just how AI should be governed, one important principle has to be the risk-based regulation, because there are lower risk application areas and then there are higher risk application areas. We just mentioned the AI pharmacy. What if a glitch happened and the AI delivers the wrong medication to, for example, an elder who didn't read or know how to read the English manual out of it? So yeah, details like that needs to be taken priority. So those are what was counted as the higher risk applications, which would require a higher level of AI governance for sure. But for things like organizing personal notes during a meeting, that can be a little bit lowered. So that's also in line with the EU's AI Act that followed this approach by classifying AI applications according to different levels of risk. So that's one thing we can refer to, and also kind of refine our governance in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, I mean, this has been a question that's existed with AI for a long time. We've been talking about governance. We've been talking about putting rules in place. And the counter argument to that was that, well, this is such an innovative field, and you have researchers and developers all over the planet who are experimenting all the time with how far this technology can go. If you put, and this is the argument, if you put too many rules in place, then you're going to stifle
its development.
Its development or its innovation. And this has kind of been a tricky balancing act, I think, that governments have been, it's like a tightrope. They're walking a tightrope here between innovation and making sure everything's done safely.
Yeah, here in China, as Xingyu mentioned earlier, we have the AI Cooperation Development Action Plan that's kind of launched not too long ago either. It's to promote inclusive, sustainable, and collaborative global AI development through concrete measures in like areas like in data, computing, open source ecosystem, industry application, and etc., with a central focus on fostering an open, secure, and equitable international AI governance. And that's what this whole WAKE conference that we mentioned earlier is about too. It's not only on refining to the each and every industry and sectors, but also to how we're creating this ecosystem that can benefit for not only Chinese, but also all of us.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not easy to do, that's for sure, to put these guardrails around AI to make sure that they're following a set of rules. And I think, too, from industry to industry, you might have to have different types of rules in place. Well, actually, obviously, you're going to have different types of rules in place because different laws will apply. If you're talking about voice cloning, and a person's right of character or right of personality, if you will. That's one set of rules. And then another law would have to pertain to liability. If the AI pharmacist puts the wrong medicine in the bag and, a death happens or something severe happens, well, who's responsible for that? I think governments around the world are trying to race to put all of these measures in place. The hard part is that things are developing so quickly across so many different industries that trying to keep up with all of the changes that are happening all the time is a really, really difficult thing. And I think that's probably the number one challenge is the speed of AI development.
Yeah, because traditionally laws and regulations, they often take years to design. And because we are seeing AI models and AI appliances, they are innovating like within months or even weeks. So how can we keep up? The rules or the laws and regulations can keep up with the speed of AI development. That is a big question. And the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has emphasized the need for agile and adaptable AI governance. So with the development of AI appliances and technologies, we should keep up. We should also regulate and also make new regulations to keep up with that.
Well, it has to be agile. It has to be adaptable.
Right.
You can't put one rule in place in 2021 and expect that same rule to apply in 2028. That seems a little foolish to believe that might even be possible with the way that AI is changing so quickly every day.
Yeah, and one practical example on that would be the very famous animation movie Naja. I remember one of the voiceover actors reporting that how his voice was stolen, and perhaps up till today he still haven't even got his copyright back because he couldn't prove that stolen voice used in an advertisement belongs to him. You see the gray area here in terms of how legally it might be risky for especially voiceover actors and people participating in similar professionalities. So yeah, and again, the second challenge can be defining responsibility, like you mentioned earlier, Steve, in such a complex AI environment. So yeah, like AI involves so many players these days, the developers, the companies who build models, and then there's the companies that provide services, and there are us, users, who generate content, and platforms that distribute it too. So when an AI system produces harmful or misleading information, who can we count on to carry that responsibility is still kind of hanging in the air. And I believe it's also a global challenge that we're facing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you talk globally, that's a difficulty because it's hard to get everybody on the same page because different countries have different priorities when it comes to their own AI development, right? Some countries might be focusing more on innovation or economic growth, but others might be more interested in privacy or consumer protection or things like that. So what I'm trying to say is if you want to create a common global standard, I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible.
Maybe on some level it is, but it's like an octopus with 8 legs, except this octopus has 30 million legs.
Well, remember when internet was first a thing globally, everybody was praising it, and look at how it is nowadays, a few decades later. Australia banning people under 16 to use it.
It's true.
And now China creating the children's mode filter against it. See how specific and how localized it can be once it lands to specific countries. The priority changes.
Yeah.
And yeah, for AI, I think it's only going to be more or less the same.
Yeah, I think that's probably the perfect example, the internet, right? Because it's something that the world has access to. But when it comes to specific countries, they set their own rules with how they want to govern it. And we're seeing, we're probably going to see that. We are seeing that now with AI.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that actually a lot of countries, they are cooperating together. So that's the global coordination that I'm talking about. And during this conference, a new international group focused on AI was established. It's called WAICO, which means World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization. So this year, 29 countries, they have signed to become the first members of this group. And that includes Russia, Kazakhstan, Indonesia, and among others. And the goal is to bridge AI divide among these developing countries and also make sure that AI is beneficial, safe, and fair for everybody. So I think that is very meaningful that we are seeing cooperation happening across this world.
Yeah. I was just thinking, you have the world being a smaller place. You have let's just talk about product development. You have different companies from different countries working together. And I was just thinking, you might develop some sort of AI tool in, I don't know, Germany, and it gets used in another country. It gets used in Canada. But what if that rule, you could develop that product under German AI rules, ethics rules, whatever, production rules, whatever, and then you send it to another country. It has to follow those same rules, right? So that makes it all the more complicated. AI voices are all over. Going back to the voices part, they're all over the place on the internet these days. Do you know where I see them most commonly used?
Ultra short drama.
Well,
You don't watch
do you know the
dramas.
other place I see them most commonly used?
Yeah.
Hotel reviews.
Well,
And it drives me crazy.
via phone call or?
No, so when you are searching, like before I go on vacation, I go on the internet and I watch too many videos about hotel reviews.
Yeah.
And I want to see like what people are saying about that hotel. But nowadays, I don't know who's posting these videos, if it's the hotels posting them or not. But anyway, they're using AI voices for it. And if I hear that, I turn it off immediately because it's just annoying, right? Welcome to this hotel, which boasts 432 beautiful rooms next to the beautiful seaside where you can watch the sunrise each and every day.
Steve has watched enough of those advertisements to be able to recite it.
Yeah. Well, there will never be a roundtable AI. I shouldn't say that. I don't know that that's
We
going to
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget what we just
Well,
said.
at least for today, you are
Yeah.
listening to human beings on a show called Roundtable. This
Yep.
human is called Steve Hatherley with two other humans, Yushan and Xingyu.